Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. I've got 3 topics to discuss with you in this latest Moon Family Sedan Tepid Jam. I'll be starting with new comments from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse delivering a message to the broader crypto community at large. Then I've got this story from Cointelegraph titled Community Urges Coinbase to Relist XRP as CEO Fights for Staking. And so, of course, this is coming on the heels of the Kraken settlement between the SEC and Kraken. Shutting down their staking program, paying a $30 million fine, and just some of the stuff that's coming out of Coinbase, some of the the higher ups at Coinbase, some of the stuff coming out of their mouths, it's like you're saying this like you're just from a principled perspective, charging back when we're willing to keep fighting against the SEC. So where's XRP then? Where's the principled approach when it comes to XRP? I'll share with you the specifics. And then also there's a topic where it covered a couple things having to do with the SEC lawsuit versus Ripple. But one of the most interesting things about this is, like, Ripple, to be honest with you, set aside, like, even if there's a disastrous ruling on the district level, which is what we're in right now, where the Judge Annalisa Torres is going to rule in, and not that I think something bad's going to happen there necessarily. I think more likely to some degree we're going to get a good outcome, even if just for XRP holders, even if Ripple rather loses. But if you're talking about on an appeal level, the argument that's more probable to win the minds of the legal officials at that level, well, it's a big deal. So Ripple has this argument having to do with the fact that how can there be an investment contract if there's no contract? That legal argument is probably not something necessarily that the SEC saw coming. And even if they did, it's going to be a train wreck for them ultimately, in all probability. And that particular argument is being used in another current lawsuit against the SEC. I say against the SEC. It's more like there's a SEC lawsuit against the individuals, but you get it. They're fighting back. Before going further, though, I do want to be clear. I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so we'll start here with Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse's most recent comments, and these came right after the news about the Kraken and SEC settlement. So you can understand what prompted this, obviously. And Brad Garlinghouse wrote the following: stepping back for a moment from what's happening in the United States. Just in the last few weeks, the number of positive, or at least headed in the direction of clarity, global regulatory developments is energizing. Continuing its history of being tech forward, Dubai just published an extensive new set of tech-agnostic rulebooks for crypto market participants covering compliance standards, advertising, issuance, and much more. Australia's Treasury is looking to reform licensing and custody for crypto and bolster consumer protection. They recently published a token mapping consultation and are looking for public input before updating existing frameworks. The UK HMT's new consultation reflects the government's intent to establish a proportionate, clear framework that allows firms to innovate while maintaining financial stability, and opt for the UK to become a global crypto hub, as it previously announced its goal was to be. Folks, let's pause there. That's like the opposite of... It sucks for us in the United States. Good for you over in the UK. I know you're listening. This sucks for us in the United States. Sucks to suck. I know. United States. I love my country. What in the ever-loving hell is going on right here? No freaking clear. Anyway, Brad then says, South Korea's Financial Services Commission published guidelines that delineate what would be considered a security token versus a payment token and how those are separately governed. Folks, South Korea is defeating us in regulatory clarity. Damn it. I mean, look, I'm glad that they have it. I'm more just sour that we don't have anything even close to this in the United States, which is completely absurd. And it just comes down to the handful of people in power right now at the highest levels of the government, and including various agencies. There's just a handful of people, roughly speaking, that are making these decisions and just destroying the opportunity for everybody in the country. It's not that many people. It just as well could have been X number of other people in charge instead of them, had various things gone a different way, and we'd be singing a different tune then. But that's not where we are now. And then Brad wraps up his thread by saying, the list goes on. Brazil's new legislative framework, etc. Note the commonalities. These regulators are providing leadership and doing the work that we are desperately missing in the US. Unsurprisingly, this is where companies like Ripple are growing. Well, I hear you, Brad. It makes all the sense in the world, unfortunately, and I'm glad that Ripple is growing elsewhere, but if things don't turn around here, like literally Ripple will cease to exist in the United States, and you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, bye, Felicia. That's exactly what's going to happen. And they'll just keep growing elsewhere and, building out, the whole RippleNet on-demand liquidity ecosystem using XRP as a bridge currency. That's going to grow regardless. So in that sense, it's like, that's why, part of the way I look at this, it's like, even if the worst possible scenario you can imagine in the United States occurs, and even if XRP plummets in price, even to some degree, maybe it's a big degree, I certainly suspect that would be temporary because people freak out when bad news hits. I got that. I don't know what it would mean for me as an XRP holder in the United States, but my mindset is basically, I will find a way to make this work for me. I don't know what that means. Do I move to another damn country? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But if this goes away, we're going to think like we all understand here. The real opportunity in terms of potential life-changing wealth, it's like, am I going to allow the SEC and Kim Jong-Gensler to mess this up for me? No, that's not my intention. I'll say that. Now there's this from Cointelegraph. Community urges Coinbase to relist XRP as CEO fights for staking. Amid Coinbase cryptocurrency exchange standing up for crypto staking and economic freedom, the online community has also urged the company to support XRP. On February 9th, Coinbase's chief legal officer, Paul Grewal, claimed that Coinbase's staking program is not affected by rival exchange Kraken shutting down its staking services. The executive argued that Kraken's staking platform was essentially offering a yield product, while Coinbase's staking services are fundamentally different and are not securities. Okay, so pause. Even if true, and I'm not going to pretend to know all of the inner workings, I don't know to what degree everything is literally publicly available. I don't know what the disclosures are. I've not participated in it. But even if correct, that does not mean that the SEC will not attack you on that front regardless. They'll find some sort of BS argument, make up a bunch of crap, and then make you waste all of your money fighting them. Or you can acquiesce. You can do that too. Piece continues. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong also took to Twitter on Thursday to declare that the exchange will continue to oppose the government when it comes to protecting services like staking. He complained about the lack of clear staking regulations, adding, quote, "We will keep fighting for economic freedom. Our mission at Coinbase. Some days, being the most trusted brand in crypto means protecting our customers from government overreach." End quote. Oh, is that right? Well, let me tell you a little something about how I feel about that comment being an XRP holder. I'm not feeling protected from Coinbase here. In fact, if anything, I think you're giving the shaft to XRP holders. Even if you set aside the delisting of XRP, or halting of trading, whatever you want to call it, where the hell's the Flare token? Where's the Songbird tokens? Just pretending like that's not a thing, or at least you're pretending like the Songbird thing is a thing because you haven't even acknowledged it exists. But then with Flare, well, I mean, not in terms of comment. There might be something technically where there's some sort of notification, like they list prices of cryptocurrencies even that they don't list. Outside of that, though, what I'm saying is there's been no actual acknowledgement that they were sent and like a metric F-word ton of Songbird. They're just like pretending, they say nothing. And then as far as Flare, I can't understand why they'd need half a year to potentially get it out, which is what they're stating. And they better do it. They say they're going to follow through with it, but even that's absurd. So how are you looking out for the XRP holders? Well, not there. And you were pretty quick to halt the trading of XRP. I just, to some degree, and my stance really hasn't changed in the last 2 years on this. To some degree, like I do have sympathy for these firms that are under attack. But if you have the war chest to fight this, but you just don't have the gusto, then I'm less sympathetic. If you have the gusto, which is an unknowable quantity for me, like I don't know for sure if you do or don't, but let's just say that is true, but you don't have the war chest, you don't have the money to fight, then I'm sympathetic. So which is it for Coinbase? I know we're talking bear market territory now, but what about 2020? Those were good times. You were hiring like crazy, honestly, too many people, because now you're having hard economic times. But back then, before you had the hard economic times, hiring like crazy, you had the war chest. why not push back? Did you not see that there would be additional problems from the SEC by not doing that? So it's like, to some degree, I get it, but it's just, I can't have a 100% firm opinion, to be honest with you, because I'm not privy to all of the internal considerations. That does make it impossible, quite literally. But if you really believe that's the path forward, okay. But I think it's been pretty clear over the last couple of years, as things have developed further, they were never going to stop coming after you. Anyway, Peace continues. The community was quick to react to Armstrong's economic freedom ambitions, with many criticizing Coinbase for staying away from XRP after delisting the cryptocurrency in 2020. The decision to suspend XRP trading came in response to the United States Securities and Exchange Commission taking legal action against Ripple, alleging that the firm violated securities laws by selling XRP tokens. And here's a quote from XRP community member on Twitter. Is delisting XRP a good example of Coinbase protecting customers from government overreach? End quote. That's a pretty good question. I think that's a pretty damn reasonable question. Because again, you say, we're going to protect our customers from the government overreach. Oh, but did you? Did you have the war chest at the time? Did you have the gusto? Peace continues. The community has also once again pushed the hashtag RelistXRP hashtag on Twitter, with many people stressing that XRP has not been declared a security yet, following more than 2 years of Ripple's legal battle with the SEC. Quote, if Coinbase really wanted to show they are standing up against the SEC, they would simply relist XRP. I mean, seriously, it has not even been declared a security. Coinbase and Brian Armstrong are nothing but a bunch of cowards. End quote. I get it, folks. That's why, like, whatever your opinion on this, I ain't saying you're wrong, because it's so subjective. And we also are not privy to, like, all the inside baseball stuff, all the the interior considerations that a company like Coinbase would have to make. Whatever your position is and like that, totally respect it. And I could, I mean, frankly, if we had some insider information, who knows, I could probably be swayed pretty quickly if it goes in a particular direction. Just saying. Now, as far as the legal developments, there's this article which covered some interesting stuff. This is from You Today. Ripple winning an SEC lawsuit would be bigger than settlement. Crypto lawyer gives reasons. And so I'm just going to go straight to what prompted this article to be written there, sharing perspective from XRP community member and attorney Bill Morgan, who wrote the following just the other day. The SEC obtains a lot from a settlement with Ripple, even if the settlement allows for XRP not to be considered a security and sold by Ripple. Number 1. A big fine. Number 2, an outcome that justifies the lawsuit. 3, no disclosure of Hinman emails. 4, no adverse decision on fair notice defense. 5, perhaps most importantly, no decision on the Blue Sky investment contract issue. As we saw this week, this argument was made for a second time by the defendants in the SEC v. Wahi case. Imagine if Ripple wins on this point. So, folks, if Ripple wins on this point, that's pretty much game over for the SEC in terms of the BS, bogus, nonsense, crap arguments that they've been making on this front. I mean, it's because the next step up, so like, I mean, it's the case that you could have to see this chosen, decided at an appellate level, so that'd be above district court. And then in theory, above that, it could go to the Supreme Court. It could happen. It's not wacky to think that might happen. I don't think that's most probable, but it's not wacky to think that it could. It could. It really could. But you see, when you start to get to those higher levels, especially if you look at the makeup of the Supreme Court too, like, it's good for XRP holders. I'm just gonna be real with you here, because it's all about people who are all about rule of law. Whatever. I'm not even making a political comment. It's just like whatever side of the alley on. I'm just saying they are sticklers pushing back against government overreach, the people in charge. It is what it is. It's good for XRP holders, whatever you think politically. It's not the point of me bringing that up. But if it gets to those higher levels, and if Ripple wins, it is game. Because look, I understand what we're talking about here is you're wrong because there can't be an investment contract if there's no contract. So shut up. That's basically it at that point. And actually. And I wanted to point this out. Attorney Jeremy Hogan brought this up just a few days ago. He was sharing this from the Wahi case, because in the Wahi case, they basically, and I'm not complaining, they hijacked Ripple's arguments against the SEC, effectively arguing the same thing. So I want to share with you what was stated But just know this at the outset, in case any of this starts to sound confusing. What they're arguing here is that there cannot be an investment contract because there's no contract even. And everything that's led us to the point, all the case law, everything, including on a federal level, indicates that there can't be an investment contract without an actual contract. And so attorney Jeremy Hogan wrote, Ripple's "an investment contract requires post-sale obligations" argument is front and center in another SEC action. Hopefully the blue sky law argument Ripple becomes a tsunami. So check this out. The relevant portion was shared, as you can see on your screen if you're looking, from the document shared by attorney Jeremy Hogan, which reads as follows. The tokens are not investment contracts under the securities laws. The term investment contract has a long history. Even before the federal securities laws, which themselves date to the Great Depression, the phrase investment contract was a term of art for financial dealings that differed in some way from traditional securities, like stocks and bonds, but that still had the essential characteristics of a security. In the main, investment contracts cover business ventures that involve the sale of some asset like land or an oil lease, coupled with certain legally binding promises by the seller to manage or develop that asset in a profitable manner. Canonical examples include one-off enterprises like a businessman selling tracts of land upon which he promises to maintain a range of profitable orange groves, or beaver breeders who sell beavers along with a promise to raise the animals for later sale at a profit. Such ventures vary in the details, but the term investment contract, and this is the key point, has always carried certain core traits. Most obvious, ding 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 here, most obvious, a contract, and one that captures the post-sale promises that transform an asset sale into something more. In using the phrase investment contract, Congress codified the term's traditional definition into the federal securities laws. Now, folks, this argument, and I'm glad they hijacked it from Ripple, this comes from the most in-the-know legal minds in the world of securities, litigation that there are. I mean, you're talking about people, like one of the people, Mary Jo White, ran the damn SEC. And there are other people at the highest echelons of the SEC, and they're like, yeah, well, here's the way to attack that. It's something that is going to be devastating to the SEC's nonsense, bogus arguments. And so that's why even if we get a bad ruling at the district level here in the SEC v. Ripple case, which again, I don't think is going to happen, but even if, this is going to make it to a higher level, and other courts are more likely to be like, yeah, obviously. So however far it has to go. And that's why Ripple's attorneys wrote this in such a way, and that's why Attorney Deaton even noted this is written really more so. If you look at the motion for summary judgment, the final, it's really written more so like for an appellate level court. That's why Attorney John Deaton said that, and looks right to me. I don't pretend to have a legal background, but that looks right. Based on everything that I've seen from multiple attorneys that have covered this, that seems to be the case indeed, because that's the strongest argument. If it comes down to it, and maybe it won't. Hell, maybe it won't come down to it. Hell, maybe there's even a settlement still. Not that I think that's the most likely at this point. But if it does come down to it, this is devastating. This is absolutely, utterly devastating for them, and they will lose. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.